You only barely made it in time for class, Yellow Chipmunk. Did you oversleep? Someone woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Fortunately, though, I've got the perfect class for anyone feeling a little crabby. A class about a crab monster. Kaningerjin, a Kamen Rider Kaijin to be exact. What do you say to that, Yellow Chipmunk? Maybe we'd better just get things underway. Fast. Kaningerjin is a Kaijin that first appeared on TV on December 7th, 1979, in the 10th episode of the show Kamen Rider. Not that one, the other one. You know, the show that's named the same as the first Kamen Rider show and people came up with nicknames for it like Skyrider so they could tell it apart from the first one? Okay, yes, there it is. Kaningerjin is unfortunately one of the many tokusatsu monsters whose behind-the-scenes story has seemingly been lost, most likely due to a lack of popularity. But though the crab monster put me in a bit of a pinch, I was nonetheless still able to dig up a few facts on him, mostly the names of staff who collaborated in creating him. The one who initially brought this kaijin to life was likely Kamiyo Hirayama, the writer of the 10th Skyrider episode, and his designer was probably either Akira Takahashi or Yuji Maruyama, two people listed as being behind the art for the show. Michio Mikami's Cosmo Productions, one of the companies behind the marionette-filled show X-Bomber, was apparently the corporation that created Kaningerjin's rather interesting suit, with the face that is shaped just like the underside of a crab and all. Minoru Yamada directed the episode, and Tetsuya Kaji provided the monster's voice, which is amusing because he also provided the voice of the very similar-looking Connie Bubbler from the original Kamen Rider series. Also, if you were wondering what the name Kaningerjin means in its original Japanese, Kani is the word for crab, and I gather that the jin part seems to basically mean human or man, but unfortunately I know almost no Japanese, so I could be wrong. Someone in the comments will give you students the full meaning of the name, I'm sure, but from what I can tell, it basically translates to Crabberman. And that's the extent of what I could find as far as behind the scenes. But hang in there, Yellow Chipmunk, because the real meat of this crab class is definitely the in-universe history. Let's get into it. It all began one night at an oil refine... Oh, that was very close. I can do without shots like that, thank you. Anyway, one night at an oil refinery, trouble was afoot, because oil refineries can never catch a break in tokusatsu shows. Two watchmen discovered a weird foaming blob, but upon investigating it, were suddenly hit with a concentrated blast of the foam, and blew up soon after coming into contact with it. Yikes, this is arguably even worse than Goat Monster's foam. This bubbly substance had been fired from Kaningerjin's claw, and he used it again soon afterward to eliminate several workers around the refinery. Turns out the Neo Shocker organization was preparing to blow up the refinery, so the Kaijin's actions make total sense. Those workers probably wouldn't have liked the plan very much. The next day, a child famous in his school for always oversleeping, or perhaps infamous is the better word, and determined to finally arrive on time for class, decided to take a shortcut. But it didn't turn out to be so short because there was a roadblock. Neo Shocker and Kaningerjin. The evil crab Kaijin snatched the kid's homework project and destroyed it. Hey, I thought Superman was invincible. Oh well, I've heard he's enemies with someone named Ultraman, so go ahead and flatten him. And prepared to finish the boy off for spotting Neo Shocker preparing to blow up the refinery. But then who should appear but Skyrider to save the day. Now, if only he could have also showed up in time to save those guys who got turned into soap the night before. Oh wait, but they were grown-ups, so never mind. Skyrider hid the kid in a safe spot and then engaged Kaningerjin and his minions. The rider dominated the match and forced the crabman to flee by turning himself into foam. Despite Skyrider being close to figuring out their plan though, Kaningerjin remained convinced it would work, and promised Neo Shocker's general monster he would succeed. Somehow I'm not convinced. The boy he'd caught snooping around earlier, meanwhile, got in trouble for being late and not bringing his homework. Poor kid, but got himself in even more trouble when he tried to prove his story about his encounter with Kaningerjin to his classmates. Come on, why, kids? Why? What did you think was going to happen? Their teacher must not be giving them a good tokusatsu education. Luckily for the kids, Skyrider had until the next day to find them, because Kaningerjin chose not to finish them off until later. However, by the next day, the Kamen Rider still hadn't located the 4 children, and things looked bad, since all the preparations to blow up the complex were complete. Once this timer ran out, it would be over. Kaningerjin hopped in this car to get out of the blast zone. Pause. I just wanted to point out how amusing this shot is with this guy in the passenger seat. Okay, continue me. And it was at this point that Skyrider finally arrived. He easily handled the Neo-Shocker motorcyclists and sped after Kaningerjin's car, barely avoiding being blown up by the explosive foam the Crab Kaijin sprayed on the road. Kaningerjin almost got away by hiding his car in a building, but Skyrider used his Dimension Eye to discover his hiding spot and burst into the building. The Kaijin refused to tell the Kamen Rider where the kids were, but foolishly gave away his plan to blow up the complex, which gave the Rider a valuable clue he used to save them in the surrounding area later on. Kaningerjin wasn't totally dumb, though. After using this weird little glitch move to skedaddle out of the building, he tried to keep the Rider trapped inside with his foam. It didn't work, though. The Rider got out, and by using the Neo-Shocker troops to protect himself from the Kaijin's foam, he cut through the whole battalion of Fources, and soon just Kaningerjin was left. The crab monster tried to whack him with his big claw, but just knocked down several metal objects trying. Next, he finally got an opportunity to hit the Rider with a strong attack when he took hold of Skyrider's neck with his claw. He pinned him to the ground and called out that he was performing a finishing move on the hero, but the second strike of his double scissors attack didn't connect, and the fight went on a few moments more, until Skyrider stepped on the monster's claw, badly damaging it. Huh, how poetic. Kaningerjin stepped on the boy's homework, so he got his claw stepped on in return. This blow gave Skyrider an opening, and he hit the Kaijin with a sky kick. The crab monster was knocked into the water and exploded. And yes, Skyrider's kick was what did it. Pay no attention to this cable thing. Kaningerjin got one last moment to shine, sort of, in episode 17 of the show when Neo-Shocker's Professor Doc reviewed footage of the Kaijin's fight with Skyrider, but otherwise, from what I can tell, he's been completely forgotten since, at least on TV. He does have one more claim to fame, namely being on the cover of a 1984 Kamen Rider FM7 text-based RPG game for the Fujitsu FM7 computer, and presumably also being in the game itself, but considering I could hardly find any info about this game at all, I'd say this claim doesn't have much fame. But at long last, I think Kaningerjin is finally getting the fame he always dreamed of having. For today, I am happy to announce that I am opening here on this school campus a Hall of Fame for forgotten monsters, so that they may live on forever in the hearts of all who watch these YouTube videos. And along with a handful of other creatures I've covered in this mini Kaiju and Kaijin bio series in the past that I have deemed neglected enough to be eligible, I am hereby inducting good old Kaningerjin into this Hall of Fame. Awesome news, huh? What do you have to say to that, Yellow Chipmunk? Something funny's going on. You better check. Okay. What? His father wants your job.
Professor? I think maybe... I think he's actually still asleep!
Wait, he's been sleepwalking and sleep-talking, and we couldn't tell 'cause of his visor thing!
Wait, has he ever actually been awake the entire time we've known him? There'd be no way we could know! Creepy!
I wonder what he could be dreaming about that's good enough to make him miss a Toku Professor class.
It's the first ever Toku Professor Monster Art Show!
The Monster Art Show?
Yeah!
Open to all viewers of Toku Professor videos, this fantastic exhibition will be hosted by the professor himself, as well as Kishimu-kun and Pencil Leopard. They will review and comment on as many eligible pieces of monster art as they can that you students submit in an upcoming video. Simply send your images to the professor's Twitter account before midnight strikes on Friday, October 6th. There is a link to his account in the description. Only one entry per student, please. The theme of this year's Monster Art Show is an Ultraman monster fighting a Godzilla monster. Just follow the theme and keep the art family-friendly, and it will have a shot at being entered in the art show. Also, one lucky artist will get their art hung in the professor's classroom. It's the Monster Art Show. We look forward to seeing your monstrous art.